Hey guys, I didn't know Skywatcher made this scope. So come watch the video. Okay, welcome back to the Joe Jaguar Show, your best friend in science, astronomy, and telescopes. Well, I hope one of them at least. Let me see if Joey wants to come help me out. Hey Joey, there's the camera again. So I have a telescope here. Do you want to come check it out? It's made by Skywatcher. Okay, and okay, here we go. So I know this looks like a reflecting telescope. Okay, he's gone again. Okay. So this is the first generation, like CG4. They also called it the Skyscan 2001, the EQ3-2. But basically, it's the early version CG4. The difference is that has aluminum tripod. It does not have the Vixen head, and it's either a black or a light gray. But really, that's about the only differences. But anyway, let's talk about the telescope. This is 150 millimeter, so it's a 6-inch diameter telescope, okay? And it's 1,000 millimeter focal length. So when I saw that in this little tube, I thought, wait a minute, this is a Burge-Jones design. I didn't know Skywatcher made it, or maybe back then I didn't really pay attention. So do you guys remember that telescope, the Celestron AGN? This is identical to that one. The same type of focusing. You have the flat head screwdriver in the middle to twist the mirror down or up, or whichever position you want to put it. And then you have these, you use hex nuts, one on either side, to tilt it. There is not a Barlow in the focuser. They put a corrector plate. It's about 2 inches or so in the light path, and that's what's different about these. Now, I want to talk to you guys about something. Okay, I hope I didn't mess up. In the beginning, I had my air conditioning on, and that's that noise, but I just turned it on. Okay, so this here is a real Burge-Jones design. And why I stress that is because a lot of people actually don't understand, or we're talking about the wrong type of telescopes. Now, I guess I won't call it fake, but the other kind that we normally think of, the reflecting telescope that's short, okay? And then they have that 2 times Barlow normally under the focuser. Those are not real Burge-Jones design. Why? Because, okay, first of all, even though they're a reflecting telescope, they're using a spherical mirror like this one is using, okay? They're putting a $2 Barlow or something very cheap like that in the focuser to achieve that higher magnification or that focal length, right? But the difference is that is actually, the real name for that is actually a Barlowed Newtonian, okay? This is a Burge-Jones design, different. Okay, all those kind, usually you see the 127 is very popular. Sometimes they have a 114. I've seen a 150 with 1400 millimeter focal length. You know, all those variants, they're just a Barlowed Newtonian. That Barlow is not correcting for any aberration whatsoever. Nothing. It's just increasing the focal length because, remember, the manufacturers know when you use a spherical mirror, it doesn't mean it's bad, but if you do a focal length or focal ratio of about at least f8 in a spherical mirror to f9 to f10, the images actually are pretty good, or I would say very good. So they understand that, but they want to achieve a price point that's cheap. So they are, remember too, parabolic mirrors are, I would say, about 25% more expensive, depending on the size type of thing. So they want to achieve a price point that's cheap. So they want to use the spherical mirror. They want to get that f8 type of thing. f9 sometimes. And so they're just putting a $2 Barlow in the focuser, changing it. So this one would be 500 millimeter focal length in reality, and put, you know, let's say if they put the Barlow becomes 1,000. But because it's just a cheap Barlow, okay, and there's no corrector plate, there's no corrector lens, it's not actually doing anything but extending the focal length. Does that make sense? So those are actually, we should be calling those a Barlowed newtonian. Those are on the very bottom. Now, does that mean the images are total garbage? No, I've tested them before. The image quality is a little less than a traditional reflecting telescope with a parabolic mirror, or the long version, f8, f9 reflecting telescope, even with the spherical mirror. The short one, you know, is a little less, but again, that's what you get, the price point. So those are not real Burge-Jones design, just Barlowed newtonians. This one is different, okay? It is using, okay, and you're probably wondering why. Okay, again, they're using the spherical mirror and a short tube, but the difference is they actually put a corrector lens down in the center. It's not a $2 Barlow in the focuser, okay? This corrector plate or this corrector lens in there is actually correcting for the aberrations, about 50% roughly. It won't be 100%, but remember, at this time, my thinking is this probably came out in the early 2000s, very similar to the Celestron AGN, and this was probably Skywatcher's attempt to, you know, have a little bit bigger reflecting telescope and not on a massive mount. Because remember, if this guy was double the length, right, type of thing, then it probably would need to be on the CG5 mount, not the early version CG4, right? So, and then that would cost more as well, because it would be longer, it would be heavier, and then it would have like a teeter-totter. It'd have more vibration, more, the wind will affect it more. So I guess they tried this as well. So that corrector plate, that corrector lens is actually correcting. So these are real Burge-Jones design. So the image in these should be better than that Barlowed newtonian, okay? Now, the odd thing, or that I found on the Celestron 8GN, is the collimation of this is a lot harder, and it needs to be precise. I guess the what we call the other Burge-Jones design, which now we should be calling Barlowed newtonians, are also notorious for having hard collimation, okay? So this is no different. So I find the collimation is the hard part of these. Again, it's coming in a little package. It is only 20 inches long. So it's very portable. Why don't I weigh it? I won't take the rings off because remember, on this type of mount, since it's not a Vixen mount, the rings stay onto the mount itself. So for now, we can probably add, I don't know, 1 pound. Okay, so it's 11 pounds. So I bet you, I can't see the rings being more than 1 pound anyway. So it's probably with the rings, 12 pounds, which for a 6-inch reflecting telescope is probably fine. So again, you've got a 6-inch reflecting telescope. It has a real corrector plate, so it's going to correct for the aberrations, about 50% or so. It's portable, it's lightweight. It does have a focal length of 1,000 millimeter. So it is not so super wide. The reflecting telescopes that they make now, which is like a 6-inch f5 reflecting telescope, those are 750 millimeter focal length. And most of them now are parabolic mirror. So the mirror is better now. Focal length is a bit shorter by 250 millimeters, so it's giving you a bit of a wider field. You're getting slightly better image quality. But let me show you a 6-inch, the traditional one, in comparison to this one, just the OTA. So this is your 6-inch f5 reflecting telescope that they make now. Actually, what's the weight of this guy? Just so we can compare apples to apples. It's 12 pounds. It's actually the same. Okay. What I find is that up here has a bit thicker metal ring. The secondary mirror holder is a bit thick, plus that heavy holder that's around the corrector plate, the secondary mirror, is also, it weighs a lot. It's a big chunk of metal there. But anyway, okay, so let's just put it, I'll try to line it up as best as I can, somewhere around there. So it looks like it's about 5 inches longer. Okay, not a huge difference, but a little difference. Remember too, this isn't 750 millimeter focal length, this is 1000. So it's still about 5 inches shorter. Anyway guys, so I just wanted to show you guys this. This is the early version rack and pinion focusers. They're not the greatest, but you can always change it if you like. But for an old scope like this, you know, it is okay. 6x30 finder scope and like a dovetail, brackets. You know, again, this is what the inside looks like. It is not center dot, so it would be good to do, I guess. Everything else looks okay. Now the back, you can't see the mirror, but this is the kind where if you take these 3 screws out, then you'll see the collimation and locking nuts for the mirror. The rings are okay. Not super great. Like, they're not so thick. They're not so heavy duty, but you know, these were pretty much standard. Actually, it's still standard for the Skywatcher line. And that's about it. So anyway, did you guys have been in the hobby a while? Did you guys remember that they made a real Burge-Jones design? I didn't remember that until I saw it. And I thought, hey, I'm just going to pick up this guy, show it to you guys, because I'm not sure if a lot of you guys knew this existed as well. I think that this mount and tripod is actually very good for this type of scope. So a lot of times, I see sometimes on those other sites, okay, those box stores and eBay, and even I would say Amazon and whatever, they give, I've seen 6-inch reflecting telescope, okay, the Barlow Newtonians, coming on something like an EQ 2.5. What do I mean by 2.5? I've seen where some of these Asian equatorial mounts are slightly better than an EQ 2, but not as good as like the EQ 3-2 that Skywatcher and, you know, what we see here. So I kind of say EQ 2.5, but I've seen like a 6-inch on that, and it's not that good. Okay, this mount is actually pretty good for this guy. So they actually made I think a complimentary package here. But anyway, let's test this guy out upcoming weeks type of thing if I can. Let me see if I can put the cell phone and see how the image, I'll show it to you guys. But did you guys ever see this guy? Did you remember they made this guy type of thing? There we go. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. If you guys know anybody getting into hobby, share my channel with them. If you guys are on the forums and maybe somebody's asked a question like this, if you'd like to share my channel or link with them, that'd be greatly appreciated. Also, once a month, I do put one video for the members only. I also put their name in the description. It is only 99 cents a month. You do not have to join if you don't want to, but there's going to be some videos that the general public won't see that I only put there. Anyway, guys, thank you for all my subscribers, my members, and the great comments from you guys. And why not you? Why not me?